When we do those garden tour videos like we did earlier this week, inevitably we always get a few people asking, why don't you grow any watermelons or cantaloupes or any melons in general? Now, we grow a pretty wide diversity of crops around here amongst these 10 plots I have, but it kind of got me thinking, I have never grown any kind of melons out here in these gardens. Now, there's a few good reasons why we haven't or don't usually grow any melons around here. Let's start off with watermelons, for example. A lot of what we do around here revolves around our little small market farming operation, our weekly vegetable bag deal. And that thing involves, selling a bag with 5 different items in it every week. And watermelons just are kind of big. Hard to put them in a bag and haul them around. My wife does all the deliveries, and it would be tough for her to go around and deliver a bunch of watermelons just because they're so big and they're so heavy. And so we've never grown them just because they don't fit within our vegetable bag model really easily. And the other reason we've never really grown watermelons is simply because my dad just grows so many. He always grows a huge plot of watermelons and harvests them all, puts them under a pecan tree, and there's so many of them. The neighbors, anybody that wants any can stop by, grab them a watermelon. He'll eat 1, sometimes 2 a day, but he's always got a huge surplus. So I've never felt the need to grow watermelons because I know he's always gonna have plenty. And then as far as cantaloupes go, to be honest with you, I've never been a huge fan of cantaloupes. My wife likes them a little bit, the kids like them a little bit, but I've never been a huge fan of cantaloupes. Nothing wrong with a good cantaloupe, I just don't care for them that much. Now, cantaloupes are pretty popular and we sell a lot of cantaloupe seeds across the country. I just personally don't really like cantaloupes, so that's why I've never grown any cantaloupes. Maybe I'll give it a try, maybe my taste buds have changed. I'm certainly not a picky eater, I'll eat just about anything. I've just never been crazy about them. So that's kind of why we've never really grown melons out here, but today we're gonna change that up. We're gonna kind of stick our neck out there and we're gonna plant some melons in one of these plots here, just a couple rows. And I realize this probably isn't the ideal time to plant melons. You would really wanna plant those earlier in spring, but I got a little space opened up here and I'm going to give it a shot. Now, what we're going to be planting today is not a watermelon, it's not a cantaloupe, it's what they call a canary melon. Now, this is something we just added to the site a month or so ago, and they just look really tasty, and I'm really excited to try them. Evidently, these types of melons, these canary melons, are very popular over in Asia. Some people even call them winter melons, not because you grow them in the winter, but kind of like the same naming with winter squash. Evidently, they have a longer storage time than most melons, so some people call them winter melons. But these canary melons have a bright yellow outside, kind of a white flesh. They just look good to me. So we've got a variety called Halo that we're going to grow, and it's actually powdery mildew resistance, which is going to certainly help trying to grow it here in the middle of summer. So we've got this little space here that's a little more than half of what was our succession planting of beans earlier this spring. Still got those half runner beans, they're just starting to put on beans. Those are going to be there for a little bit longer. Don't really have anything to do with just a half a plot. I don't really want to cover crop just half of one. So this is going to be a perfect spot to throw in some of those melons. And I think I can get 3 rows in here. We'll have to measure it out and see. But we've got our main line already ran. We're definitely going to need drip irrigation growing these guys in the middle of summer like this. And after we cleaned up some of those other bean crops, we just went and plugged those holes in the main line with those goof plugs there. So we already got our main line out. We need to run a few drip lines. I need to lay out the tape measure here and kind of see what my spacing is going to be. I'd like to use those holes, just pull out those goof plugs there and put a row start in there. I'd like to try to use those holes in the main line that are already there, just because it makes it a little easier install. All right, so we got our tape measure out here so we can kind of see how far apart those goof plugs are, kind of see where we want to put our lines. Now with these melons, we know they're going to sprawl a little bit, so we want to give them a little bit of room here. We don't want to put them too close to the edge of this grass right here. We want to give them 4 foot or so. And if they run out to the grass, we'll just cut them with the lawnmower, kind of like we did that butternut squash we showed you on the last video. So let's look down here and see. Probably my first good spot to put a row here is going to be right here at about 4.5 feet. So we'll put a little mark here in the soil. We're going to put 1 row right there, and then let's skip over. Probably needs about 4 feet or so between the rows. There's another row started about 8.5 feet. So we'll put us a little mark right there. And then skip over here. Maybe we can get 1 more row in here. If we look at about 13.5 feet or so. And this doesn't have to be exact, folks. Don't go too crazy with getting everything exactly spaced, because these things are gonna just probably cover this entire area. So that'll give us 3 rows there, about 4.5, 5 feet apart, and should give them plenty of room on both sides. That way we're not getting into our beans too much over there, and we're not getting too much outside the plot over here. So now I just need to grab my wheel hose, get some furrows made, and get some drip tape buried, and we'll be ready to plant. All right. We got our drip tape down. Got our lines inflating there. We can actually already start to see some of these water spots popping up where every emitter is. See that little dark spot right there? This soil here was pretty dang dry, so those spots should pop up pretty quick. You might have noticed I put something in those furrows before I laid my drip tape, and put a little bit of stuff right here, what I call the secret sauce. That's our organic fertilizer, and it works awesome as a pre-plant. I've been putting it in my furrows before I lay my drip tape, and does a really good job getting that stuff going. So we got a whole flat of these Canary Melon transplants right here. They look pretty good. And Dad was in the greenhouse doing some Bradford watermelon seedlings, getting some of those started for a trial seed crop possibly. And I told him just go ahead and plant me a whole flat of these. Now we won't use all these. We won't use all 160 something plants here. But we always like to plant a whole flat because it's kind of our way of double checking our germination. Now we get all of our seeds tested every 9 months by the Georgia Department of Ag, but this is a good way to kind of double check it. And in this tray here I can see probably, I don't know, 4 cells that didn't germinate. And I don't have the seed packet in front of me, so I don't know what the listed germination date is or germination rate is. But looks like, you know, whatever 158 divided by 162 is, it's close to 100%. So pretty good germination here. Transplants look good. See those right there? I let them dry out a little bit so they pull good from the trays. That's what a good transplant should look like. Nice root ball there. You can see those roots are kind of growing downwards there. So good looking transplants we're starting out here with. You know, that's a good key to success, is starting out with good plants. And because we're using drip tape here, we can get things a little closer than we could if we weren't using drip tape. And we got our emitter spots here every 12 inches along this row. And I'm going to put a plant every 2 feet. So every other emitter. So there's an emitter right there. We'll skip over that emitter. We'll put a plant right here and just dig a little hole there. Kind of goes right beside that tape, not really on top of it. I don't want to plant these guys too deep. But 2 foot spacing along the row should be good. We'll keep them nice and fed with that drip tape, keep them nice and happy. and also reduce that leaf moisture, which is going to be important growing them during the heat of summer like this. All right, all right, all right. Got our plants in the ground. It's nice when you got things prepared and ready and you can come in and plant you a new crop in just about 10 minutes. When you got the right tools, the right things set up, got your transplants ready, makes it quick and easy. We got these puppies 2 feet apart. These rows are 30 foot long, so 15 plants a row times 3 rows gives us about 45 plants, which should be enough to get at least a few of these melons. And still got a good many transplants left over here. I'll keep these alive for another week or so, just in case I was to lose any of those. Just keep them alive for insurance purposes. I can go out there and replace one if I lose it. Now, I'll be honest with y'all, I really don't know what to expect from these canary melons here, especially growing them this time of year in the heat. I know they're powdery mildew resistant. That's gonna help. Probably gonna have some issues with downy mildew eventually. So just as soon as I see these things have overcome their transplant shock and they start growing, I'm gonna have to start a pretty regular regimen of copper spraying on these guys. Probably alternating copper in our complete disease control, but gonna have to spray them pretty regularly because this humidity starting to set in. So we're gonna have some disease issues probably. So we're gonna try to mitigate that as best as we can. And if we get a great crop, that's gonna be awesome. If we get just an okay crop, that'll be good too. And if just something happens and wipes them out, that'll be okay as well. This is just one of those experiments we like to do, just to try different things, show you guys how we can do different things. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't take us much time to do this. So if it doesn't work, we haven't lost a whole lot. So if any of you watching out there have ever grown these canary melons, let me know any tips or tricks you have, or maybe what to expect as they grow. I've never even eaten a canary melon, I don't believe, not that I know of. And so if you've tried those melons, let me know how they taste, what you thought about them, what can I expect there if we do get a decent harvest. I'll put a link below to our Halo Canary Melon seeds, so you can give this a try if you want. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell button so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you like this video, check out these 2 right here. 2 videos that Dad has done in the past on growing watermelons and how to know when to harvest a watermelon. We'll see you next time.